Hey friends, Devin here with Backcountry Exposure. We're talking camping refrigeration today, but specifically the ICECO VL35ProS 12 volt fridge. That is a mouthful. Why get a 12 volt fridge? Why spend the money, upwards of $600 in this case, for a 12 volt fridge? And I think it has to do with the idea of convenience and just making life a little bit more simple when you're out in the backcountry. And that has to do with the fact that if you're not using a 12 volt fridge, you're gonna be using a cooler. Now, coolers are fantastic. They do the job. They're just a great way for you to keep your food cold. There are two specific drawbacks to using a cooler that make a 12 volt fridge, in my opinion, much more compelling. One with a cooler is, in order for you to get all of the food in here, you also need to account for the amount of space that the ice is going to take up to keep your food cold for the duration of your trip. Now, second is the fact that when you've got a cooler, ice is going to melt. How long can I go before my food is at a temperature that it's essentially spoiled and not safe to eat anymore? That is not something you have to be concerned about with a 12 volt fridge, even though there are some drawbacks with this as well that we'll get into. I think the fact that because you don't have to manage ice, this keeps food at a consistent temperature. This is just a better option and totally worth the investment if you are spending a lot of time in the backcountry and doing a lot of camping trips, or you travel in your car. It just makes it so much more convenient, so much easier than using a cooler. Now, I think the last thing that I'll say on that is, obviously, use what is your preference and what works best for you. The VL35ProS. This is a 12 volt fridge that runs off a ICECO compressor, which is a high quality, really nice compressor that has a 5-year warranty with it. This is a name brand, really nice compressor, but you're also not paying over $1,000 for a fridge to have a compressor that's gonna last for a long time. You're gonna pay under $600 for this VL35, which I think is a really nice value for a high quality product. It's gonna last a long time. So other features of this, let's talk about dimensions. The size of this is really nice. It's gonna fit in most small SUVs to mid-size SUVs, trucks, and that kind of thing. You're 28 inches of length and then 16 inches wide, 16 inches tall. So pretty compact for 35 liters of capacity inside of the fridge. You've also got a unique lid style where it's going to open in both directions. I love that aspect, and I love that it also opens on the length side as opposed to the JP series, which opens up really tall like this. I like having the ability to open both directions, but then you've also got the option to take the lid off completely and get access to the inside of the fridge, pack everything up, and then drop your lid back on and you're all set to go. That does lead to one con that I have experienced with my time out using this. It has to do with that. When you're on a bumpy dirt road or even just a bumpy paved road, this lid rattles like crazy. And so if you don't have anything on top of it, just gonna do that back and forth and rattle and be annoying in the car. You've got two really nice robust handles with a weight of just under 50 pounds for the fridge. So let's talk about the display and function of the fridge here. You've got several things going on. You've got your DC input, you've got an AC input, and then you've got two USB-A ports. Those USB ports only power when you've got the DC input on here. So running that 12 volt in your car or off a power station. You've got a battery monitor on this as well, which is cool because not all of us have fancy built out overland rigs with dual battery systems. That battery monitor has a high, medium, and low setting. So depending on the voltage of your battery, it's going to see where that's at and then once it hits that minimum point, it'll shut the fridge off so that it doesn't deplete the battery anymore and leave you stranded, which is nice. Then you've got a max mode and an eco mode, which is just convenient because on the max mode, it's gonna run the compressor at its maximum power to cool this as quickly as possible. Now it's gonna use a decent amount of power to do that, and I'll primarily only run it on max when I'm at home getting this pre-cooled before I leave on a trip. I'll plug this in on the 110 and then leave it on max, get it to temperature of what I want it at for the trip, and then put my food in it, and then it's ready to go, and then I can run it on the eco mode for the duration of my trip, and it's just maintaining that temperature as opposed to having to cool excessively to get it to temperature. Then you've also got your temperature selection, which this is going to go from 50 degrees Fahrenheit down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can have a nice fluctuation, but note that this is a single zone refrigerator or freezer, depending on how cold you want it. It's not dual zone, so you don't have different compartments to run a freezer on one side and a fridge on the other side. One other really important thing to point out about the Pro Series is the fact that you've got your DC input on the front and the back of the unit. So depending on how you have this oriented in your car, you've got the ability to plug it in on either side and just have a bit more flexibility that way. So back to the cooler discussion here for a second. One of the issues that could be presented with running a 12-volt fridge is you've got to have some way to power it. Your investment into a fridge is not only into the fridge, you've also got to have some kind of power station that is going to run the fridge. And that's going to be different for everybody depending on your activity. I already mentioned dual battery systems for overland rigs, but for most of us that just do casual weekend camping, but we're out enough that it makes sense to invest your money into a fridge, then a power station like this Bluetti AC180 is going to be, I think, one of the best options because you want something for a slightly larger fridge like this that has a watt-hour capacity that is over 1,000. Now, I've run the VL35 on an EcoFlow River 2 Pro, which is about a 700 watt-hour capacity, but I have found that over about 48 hours or less, like the 36 to 48 hour range, depending on the temperature outside, this is only going to run for about that amount of time. I can get like 3.5 days out of the AC180, but then if I'm also running solar, then I am just extending that even more. So I don't want my fridge to consume all of my power. Like I want to be able to charge my phone, iPad, whatever, camera batteries and such. So having a larger power station will be an important part of how you choose to power your fridge. So because it's a fridge, right, we should look inside of it and see the size of it, space and everything. First thing I'll note is you've got a removable basket that comes out and makes it so it's easy to clean the inside of the fridge. You've also got a little plug that pulls out that lets you drain anything that spills inside of the fridge because you're not supposed to turn these fully upside down, tip them and such, because of the Freon or whatever that is inside of the coils inside of the fridge. It's also got a metal interior, so it's going to help keep things colder that way as opposed to using plastic. And then you've got space up here above the compressor that stays nice and cold, but then also the height of the fridge is nice because I can put a full gallon of milk. I can put taller things in here like smart water bottles in this that don't have to lay on their side. They can actually stand up inside of the fridge, and that is really nice. So there you go. That's my experience and my thoughts on the VL35ProS from ICECO. I think the value of this is fantastic. I just also feel like it is one of those things that is absolutely a luxury item, and it's not a requirement for being able to go out camping. Coolers are still going to work just fine, But like I said before, if you spend a lot of time camping and you've got the space in your car and you want that convenience of not having to manage ice and constantly worry about that, keep your food at a consistent temperature, all those things, then I think getting a fridge like this is a really, really nice way to go. So that is my review of the ICECO VL35 Pro. Thanks for watching today, guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Hope you have an awesome day. See you later.